next speaker is the co-founder of Botlhale AI Solutions, a company which aims to produce software that uses artificial intelligence and machine learning to better the lives of South Africans. Please let's welcome Thapelo and Nthite.
So I'm going to tell you guys a bit about the future of conversational AI. I'm sure you guys have come across it, so I'll introduce it again if you haven't. So please be interactive, ask questions. I want you to leave here today knowing a bit more about conversational AI and how you can contribute to that conversation. So before we get started, let me just introduce myself briefly. So first and foremost, I'm a son, a brother, a friend. And I am a mechatronics engineering graduate from UCT and co-founder and CEO of a startup called Botlhale AI. I'll speak more about Botlhale a bit later. And I am actually a Sasol bursary recipient. So when I got the invite to come speak here today, I said yes immediately because, you know, Sasol still feels like home, and it feels like Sasol is actually where my journey started because it started with the bursary, moved on to getting that degree, and then building artificial intelligence solutions for local languages. So before we move on and talk about the future of conversational AI, does anyone know what conversational AI is? Does anyone want to give it a go? Okay, this is great. So you guys should listen then. So conversational AI is basically a field of AI or artificial intelligence that simulates human conversation. So I'm sure some of you have come across it through systems like Siri, Alexa, Google Assistant. Yeah, so these are systems that you can speak to and they will respond to you in a very conversational way, right? So very similar to how a human being would respond. So generally, for a very long time, these systems were basically used mostly for like question answering. So you'd ask Siri what the weather's like, and Siri would tell you what the weather's like. But that has since, can you guys still hear me? Can you hear me now? Oh, okay, perfect. No. Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, so usually these systems are used for like question answering, FAQs, you know, Alexa, what's the weather? Or Siri, what time does Pick n Pay close? And stuff like that. But the technology has since developed quite a bit. And now we've got something called generative AI. And that's where ChatGPT and the likes come in. So have you guys heard of ChatGPT? So these systems basically, unlike the series of this world, ChatGPT and platforms like that actually generate content when you speak to it. So you can ask it to write you a summary of an essay or a book or whatever, and it will generate that from scratch. So these are very, very helpful and useful because you can use them for like very different things, from creating content online to creating your YouTube scripts. If you're like Caesar and you're a rapper, you can create lyrics for your rap song, all sorts of things. You can come up with ideas, and you can actually ask very deep and philosophical questions as well. So it's moved past Siri, what's the weather, to what's the meaning of life. I mean, don't go with the answer it gives you, but it's a good place to start. And I just want to show you the sort of stuff it can generate, right? So on the right, I've asked it to write a rap song about love, like Drake would. And you can see it did a pretty decent job. You know, it's that love straight from the heart, Drizzy on the track. So this is actually not a Drake song. This is a song that this system generated, and it did this within a few seconds. All I said to it was, write a song in the manner that Drake would. And then on the left is another example. I'm asking it to explain the concept of a momentum, to explain it to me like a 5-year-old. Now, some of you are taking physics here, and I think it's done a really decent job of explaining momentum without getting too technical. So this is where conversational AI and AI in general is heading. But what does the future look like? So the truth is, conversational AI and AI in general will be everywhere. It will be in retail, so people will shop by just speaking to their phone. You'll say, get me a pack of rice from wherever, and it will be delivered to your door. It will be in education, so you don't need human tutors anymore. At least entirely, you can use this artificial intelligence to explain concepts that you might find challenging. And if you've got a phone, very soon you'll have a doctor in your pocket. So you'll be able to consult briefly and get an understanding of what the issue that you're facing might be. It's going to be in finance. It's going to help you make investment decisions. It's going to basically revolutionize the way we do a lot of things. And literally, it's hard to think of an industry that won't be affected by conversational AI and AI in general. But what if you can't speak English? Has anyone used Siri in Sesotho? Zulu? Right, that's a big problem, right? Especially for people living in such a diverse country like South Africa with 12 official languages. And we know that in South Africa, only about 10%, 8 to 10% of the population speaks English at home as a first language. And only about 30% is actually comfortable expressing themselves in English. So even if it's a second language, only about 30% is comfortable. So what about the millions of South Africans, not just South Africans, people on the continent throughout, who cannot speak English or express themselves in European languages that these systems are currently catering for? And the sad reality is that, 10 of the world's 7,000 languages make up about 85% of the internet, right? And in South Africa, we all know that a majority of the internet and digital services is English, right? And a lot of these AI models that I showed you earlier on are trained on content that's on the internet. So if the content is not there, obviously the models won't be there, and we won't benefit from this technology. And, the results are actually quite catastrophic. Because firstly, we lose the function of our languages, right? We stop speaking our languages because we don't have to use them. We have to use English throughout. And as we all know, our languages are closely tied to our cultural identity. So in some ways, we start losing ourselves. And then another thing is, our economic activities reduce quite significantly. In South Africa today, you can't register a business online unless you can speak and understand English. You can't open a bank account online unless you can speak and understand English. So we cannot speak about the future of conversational AI or the future of AI and talk about a future that excludes people, right? We want to ensure that we're building a future where people who speak Zulu or Sesotho or whatever the language is can still benefit from all this technology that's simplifying people's lives on a daily basis. So when people ask me Thapelo, what do you think? Where do you think AI should go? What's AI looking like in the next 10 years? I'm usually the future should be localized. The future of AI should be accessible. That's where the focus should be on, right? It's not about making it faster. It shouldn't just be about making it faster. It shouldn't just be about making it write cool lyrics and create creative ideas. It should be about making it accessible to everyone, right? And it's important for us sitting in this room today to play and participate, or play a role and participate in ensuring that this is the reality that we're building towards. The technology is great, but we need to make it accessible. And that's where my work comes in, right? So that's what we do at Botlhale. So at Botlhale, we're all about breaking down language barriers in accessing conversational AI. So we've built a lot of the solutions that I've shared with you. So we can now start building a Siri in Sesotho, a Siri in Zulu, a Siri in whatever language that people understand and speak. And we're using this technology to enable people to interact with organizations, to interact with banks in languages that they understand and trust. When you're on your banking app and you want to send money, they're like, send money, choose a beneficiary, right? That's not a common term for a lot of people. So you come across that term and then you're a bit confused. So then you have to go to the bank and actually do that transaction. So we're playing our role in ensuring that, moving forward, digital services will be accessible in languages that people understand and trust. If you visit our website, you'll see a lot of these videos where we show how people are now starting to engage with their banks, with service providers in languages that they understand and trust. So in this video that I wanted to show you, this lady, Sizotwa, was speaking to her bank in isiXhosa, right? And she's got a virtual assistant, basically a Siri, who's helping her transact in a language that she understands and trusts. And there were a lot of other people doing the same thing in different languages. So please do visit our website to check the work that we were doing in the space. And in closing, I'd like to cement that we really should be building a future and a world where people can interact with technology, with digital services, in languages that they understand and trust, more so in the time and age that we live in, where a big part of our lives is actually online, right? How much time do you spend on TikTok and Facebook? How many apps do you have on your phone? So a big part of your life is online, so people should be able to participate in that space, in that realm, in a language they understand and trust. Thank you so much.